review and demonstration of the Mora Companion. I accidentally deleted the video of my first time batoning wood with this knife, so we'll just do it with this right here. Show you that it can. No problem. And then we'll cut some feather sticks. This one really cuts nice feather sticks. In there, it just gets right in there. It's actually better than some of the bigger knives, some of the more expensive knives that I have at cutting feather sticks. Just cuts them real beautiful. And I did sharpen the spine of this Mora, and it makes it so you can shave the wood a little bit with it and get a nice little bit of tender. As you can see right there. Hello and welcome to Joe's Life 1. This is Joe. Today we're going to be talking about the Mora Companion. Picked this knife up back in 2016. I learned about it from Cody Lundeen on Dual Survival. Prior to that, I'd kind of written this knife off as being a cheap knife and not something I'd be interested in. But I watched Dual Survival with Cody Lundeen, and I watched him use this knife many times, and I was kind of impressed, so I went and picked one up after that, and I've been extremely impressed with it. It's a lot of knife for the money, and probably one of my best purchases as far as knives go, and probably has gotten the most use out of all my knives. If you want to talk about actual use, I bring some of my other knives along with me more often, but this one gets used a lot just because it's a cheaper knife, and I'm not too worried about it. I wanted to do a review on this knife right now because with all the craziness going on, we had the COVID and the riots and stuff like that, and a lot of people are starting to get into survival a little bit, and I thought, hey, might as well do a review for some of the people getting into it. If you may not have $200 to put into a knife right now, and you might be kind of looking, oh, well, what can I do for, maybe 20 to 50 bucks? Well, I think this knife usually goes for about $13 to $20. I'll add a link on Amazon. And there are several variations of this knife, but this is the Companion with the carbon steel blade. It goes for about 13 bucks. And I have not had any issues with this knife. It's been an amazing knife. And we'll go over it a little bit. All right. And it'll handle almost everything you need for a knife too. This knife will do almost everything. There might be knives that do things a little bit better, but this thing will do almost everything you need it to do. Very good basic knife. First thing you need to know are the 10 C's of survival. So there's number one's a cutting tool, combustion device, so something to make flame with, cover, that'd be like a poncho or a tent, container, something to hold water, cordage, cotton bandana, cargo tape, compass, cloth sail needle, and a candling device, so something like a flashlight. With this knife, you're getting obviously the first C of survival right off the bat. And then with some easy mods onto this knife, you can be getting 3 or 4 C's out of the way as well. And having this knife with a few mods on it, it's almost the beginnings of like a basic kit just on the knife right there itself. The Mora Companion itself uses a carbon steel on this knife right here. They have stainless steel knives. They have many options for Moras, but this is the base model, the cheapest one, the entry level knife. It uses a carbon steel 4.1 inch blade. It's got a Scandi grind on it. A Scandi grind means that it only has one bevel on there. There's no second bevel. It's just a straight Scandi grind right there. Which makes it easy to sharpen, and I'll show that in a little bit. It's got a 3/4 inch tang. A tang is how far the blade goes into the knife, into the handle here, and it goes 3/4 of the way in. You can see on some of these knives here where it's got full tang, and you'll find that a lot of bushcrafters and survivalist people like to have a full tang, but I don't think that that's an issue on this knife. The 3/4 tang is just fine. It's super lightweight and it's a super strong knife, and I have never had any issues with this being a 3/4 tang. I think there's a lot of people that get really touchy and whiny over the tang on the knife, but I think this one's just fine. It's super strong plastic in there, and yeah, nothing to worry about. You got high friction handles. These handles on this knife are actually a high point. Very comfortable in hand. It's actually more comfortable than most of my more expensive knives, and it's very grippy. It's very grippy, but very comfortable. Just a amazing piece on a very cheap knife. Yeah. The sheath is very basic. It's a very basic sheath. It's all plastic. It's got a little hole in the bottom of it there for drain out water. The knife locks in there. It's got a very nice positive lock on there. It locks in there. It's not going anywhere. Oops. Knocking everything around there. You can see it's got a very positive lock there. Sorry guys. Anyway, yep, it's got a very positive lock. Locks that knife in there really nice. And I mean, it's a cheap sheath, but it works. So you can't really complain about that. I mean, it's a $13 knife. I mean, what do you expect? But it's a nice sheath. I have not had any issues with it. You'll notice I did a few mods on this knife. The first one was I forced a patina on the blade. You notice this blade's pretty dark. Basically what I did is these carbon blades can rust, and so what I did is I forced a patina on there, and I did that by boiling vinegar, and then after the vinegar had boiled and it was starting to cool, I dipped the knife in the vinegar and let it sit in there for about 10 minutes. Just the blade into the boiling vinegar, and then after I'd done that, I cleaned it off. And then I put mustard on there, just mustard like you'd put on a hot dog. Put mustard on there, dabbed it around, and let it set for about 10 minutes with the mustard. And then you get a nice patina on there. I added a fire steel. You can't see it, it's underneath the paracord here. But I added fire steel with magnesium. And I also sharpened the spine. The spine is dull on this knife, so what I did is I took a file, and I filed the spine, and then I took sandpaper and I sanded it so it smoothed it out a little bit, but it makes it so that you got a nice sharp spine, so you can shave wood with it, and you can strike your fire steel with it. That's what that's for. Added cordage. First off, I did a lanyard. I spent time this week, and that was one of the cool things I did is looked up on YouTube how to tie proper lanyard knots. So finally learned how to do that. All my knives have them now. Probably something that's kind of funny if you watch some of my earlier videos. Added more cordage onto the sheath here. Basically cordage, this is 550 paracord. And this 550 paracord can be broken down. It has a bunch of strings inside of it. There's about 6 strings inside of it, and it can be, you can cut it up, you can cut it and pull the strings out, and it can be broken down, and the strings can be used for basically 6 times as the amount of cordage that you see right there. On top of that, those can be used for fishing or snare wires and things of that nature. I also added a knife sharpener on the back of this. I went to Harbor Freight and picked up that ferro rod and a knife sharpener. I think it was a total of $13 into it. So for 26 bucks, you're looking at a knife that rivals, you know, my Bear Grylls. It's got basically everything that the Bear Grylls has on it, plus some. It's got the knife sharpener, the ferro rod, the only thing it doesn't have is a whistle, but I don't really need a whistle on my knife. I mean, it's nice, but I could add one on if I needed to, but I don't. It also added duct tape. There's duct tape inside of here, and I'll pull it out later and show you guys. It's also got some fishing hooks, and I also have a canvas needle in here, just tucked into the side right there. Canvas needles used, you can use it like an awl. It's used for all kinds of stuff in survival. And a couple of small zip ties. There's 2 small zip ties in there. I'll show those in a minute when I take it all apart. This knife basically is great for new preppers, people getting into it. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and just you know, people want to be able to have something that is reliable, tough, and basically a survivalist tool. This is probably, for the money, the best you can get. I mean, unless you want to go spend, you know, 150, 200 bucks. I mean, this knife right here, Benchmade Bushcrafter, it was a $200 knife, and it's a better knife than this knife, but it takes 200 bucks to get a significant increase in capability. And this knife is stronger and heavier, and there's a lot of things you can do with this knife that you can't do with that knife, but it's not much. I mean, it's a little more capable. I think this knife actually outperforms the Essie camp lore, with the one exception of the striking the ferro rod. This Essie does give a nicer spark. I like the spine on this one a little bit better, but in general, I mean, this is a $100 knife, and this one is basically on par with that, or if not outperforming it. Another cool thing about this knife being for a basic knife, or for newer people getting into knives, is there's you can learn a lot about knives from this knife. It's got a Scandi grind on there, which makes it really easy to sharpen, and I'll show that later. You just set the it's already got the angle on there, and you just slide it along on a sharpener, and it's really easy to sharpen. It's got it's really easy to make modifications to, and there's a lot of YouTube videos out there on how to do this stuff. And well, another thing I added was some snare wire. I don't know if you can see that on there. There's a little snare wire. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there on how to do it. So it's a great introductory knife for you to get into knives, or at least to understand knives well enough to if you're new to survival or new to knives, it's a great beginning knife so that you can learn all the things you need to learn about knives. For the final part of this, I mean, like I said, I paid like 13 something for this knife. I put another 13 bucks into it, and plus I had some paracord laying around, which basically for 27 bucks, 28 bucks, you're looking at at capabilities of a $150 to $200 knife. I mean, it's pretty incredible for what you're getting for the money. It's probably the highest value knife on the market to the lowest cost. It's a great starter knife, great comparison knife, great bug out bag, great survivalist knife. In short, you just can't go wrong with this knife as far as if you're new to knives and new to prepping type stuff. You just can't go wrong with it. You can watch the video. It's got the Scandi grind, which is great for biting into wood. It bites in really nice. It's great for bushcrafting, creating traps and stuff like that. You can set up camp and stuff with it, make camp poles and things like that. You'll see I start a fire with it, and I mean, it pretty much just covers everything that you're going to need for survival. So in short, I highly recommend getting the Mora Companion. And there's several other Moras out there too. There's the Mora Bushcrafter Black. I think that's probably a great one. I'll probably purchase one of those after this COVID thing's over. There's there's several other Moras out there. Anyway, I don't think you can go wrong with getting a Mora. For price to capability is incredible. And yeah, thank you very much. It's been Joe with Joe's Life 1, and stick around. I'm going to show you a few of the mods on the sheath here, and I'm going to show you probably how to sharpen the knife. So stick around. All right, so that last one didn't work out, so we'll do that again. All right, so basically we got the your sheath right here. I added on some sharpener right here. This is a diamond sharpener. You have very fine right here and very coarse right there. You also have a ferrule rod with magnesium on the bottom. You can scrape off some of that magnesium right there, and you can strike your ferrule rod here, and that magnesium will burn extremely hot, even in rain, doesn't matter, and it'll ignite whatever you're trying to ignite. It's also got a little bit of snare wire right here. I think I showed that already. The a canvas needle right here, basically that you can sharpen it on the sharpener if you needed to, and it's good as an awl, basically survival tool. A couple pieces of zip tie. This can be used for building shelter and things like that. I've got cargo tape right here. It's all wrapped around itself, and you got a couple of fishing hooks right there. You got about 7 feet of paracord right here, and you can strip that down for 6 times that amount, so you got a lot of paracord right there. You also have paracord on your lanyard. You got about another 2 feet on your lanyard. And that's about it. I think I'll show you guys how to sharpen the knife here. So it's got a primary bevel right there. So you can see it rocks into position right there. And that's all you got to do. I don't have to worry about it. I set that angle and I just sharpen. Boom. Just like that. Real easy. Anyways, it's been Joe with Joe's Life 1. Thank you very much and have a good night.